Friendship, the true treasure of life. This is a story, of course. What else would it be? The difference between this story and all the others is that this one is unique. It is not just any story. This story is one of a special friendship. One of sacrifice. One of love, and it starts with two special people who became friends, and over time, they became the best of friends. When one was sad, the other would cheer them up in no time. When one needed help, the other was there for them to lean on. Always. Their friendship was so special to them and it made sense. They completed each other and they were perfect for one another. Who wouldn't treasure such a valuable friendship? Ever since they became best friends in high school, every year, they celebrate their friendship by going out together on a trip to their favorite place in the whole world, the lake. You may think that a lake is nowhere special, but to them, it was the most beautiful place they could go to. Normally, they go with a parent or two because they were too young to drive. But once they were old enough to drive on their own and their parents allowed them to do it, they would drive up to the lake that they held close to their hearts and camp for a day. Today was no different. They drove up to the lake early in the morning, as they have been doing every year, so they could catch the sunrise and set up the tent using flashlights and the bonfire. All the sleeping bags were placed on the ground, next to each other so they could tell jokes and keep each other awake. And the food was placed in the corner of the tent. Now for the first major part of the trip, sunrise. Once the sun began to rise, they would sit on the shore of the lake, and take in the sunset in all of its golden glory and warmth. They always say that there is nothing quite like it. Watching the sunrise made them grateful to have each other. Right when the sun rose above the horizon, they would make a promise to each other. Today is a new year, so let's hold each other dear. Stay close and stay strong. For this friendship will be long. Filled with joy and tears, we rise as peers. I am grateful to have you in my life, and thank you for a friendship worth sacrifice. After they have said this together, they say their top 5 favorite moments of the year they had together and they camp for the day and night. There are challenges involved, like who can make a bow and arrow the best, who can light a fire the quickest, and so many more creative things that make them bond. They would carve a wooden trophy so they could always keep something from this trip home. Then at the end of the day, when they are tired out and have done all the activities that they could think of, they sit on the shore of the lake and watch the moon's reflection on the water and the constellations in the sky. They lie on the ground and name whatever ones they can. Sometimes they even see shooting stars and they both make the same wish, to be best friends forever and ever. For them to stay strong and dear to one another. Every year they come back. Again and again. They come no matter what. Even when they got married, they came. Even when they had children, they came. Even when they have suffered a loss, they came. And they always went together and they would do it all again, setting up camp, watching the sunrise, the promise they make to each other, the activities and challenges that they came up with. Even when they have grown old, they would still come. Not to do the activities because surely their backs would give up on them, but to spend a morning and night with a special friend. A best friend. More years pass by and the old age finally gets to one of them. They lived a long, joyous life, and they lived it well. On her deathbed, she tells her friend, "Stay strong. We've lived our lives to the fullest. You have been with me from start to finish and I would have it no other way. Don't stop going there, eh? Today is a new year, so let's hold each other dear. Stay close and stay strong, for this friendship will be long. Filled with joy and tears, we rise as peers. I am grateful to have you in my life, and thank you for a friendship worth sacrifice." Though she thought she would never be able to bring herself back, the remaining friend went to the lake. Her granddaughter drove her up here. The friend got out of the car and the sun began to set. Perfect. One last time. For her, she lay down her favorite plant, a dandelion, fierce like her, and she sat down on the shore of the lake once more. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she remembered all the good times they had together. When she finally looked up, the moon was in the sky and the shooting stars were soaring across the sky. From one friend to another. A friendship so strong, not even death could tear them apart. She stared at the reflection of the moon on the water and smiled to herself. What a crazy life they had lived. They
wanted a green thumb, fields of wild flowers, baskets of fresh fruits and vegetables, the smell of freshly tilled soil. To quote an old song, "These are a few of my favorite things. I was raised in cities all over the world as the child of a United States Navy sailor. Some countries have multiple tropical forests filled with ferns, flowers, and the earthy smell of mud. Other countries are miles and miles of farmland, rice fields, coffee beans, and exotic fruits. Even in the busiest cities, apartment balconies overflowed with potted plants and flowering bouquets. Our wonderful planet is filled with the glorious smells of Mother Nature's bounty. All of my life this thrill of seeing these marvels of nature has filled me with joy and self-pity. You see, I have learned I have a brown thumb. I have dreamed of the perfect garden since my childhood. My first gardening experience was in first grade. The teacher gave each student a square plastic container, some potting soil, and a bean seed. We decorated the container, marked our names for all to see, filled them with the soft, cool, brown dirt, then planted the bean inside. Days later, little sprouts were springing up from many of the pots. The teacher told the rest of us to be patient. Some beans need more time. A few days later, and all the beans were growing into giant dark green stalks, except one, mine. There was my little pot with a light green sprout, folded over, staring at the dirt as if it were sad or ashamed of itself. Perhaps it was even telling the other students that I had sniffed all the goodness out of the dirt. The other children laughed mercilessly. Yards and gardens, even potted plants, were not allowed in some of the military housing areas where we were able to live. My dream remained that, just a dream, yet every new duty station I hoped for a house with a yard to plant a garden or a room of my own to keep a houseplant. Sadly, the military has a rule that siblings of the same gender must share a room, so I could not have a houseplant because my baby sister might eat it or some parental nonsense. My second attempt at growing something came with my first apartment. I asked everyone what type of plant was best for a first-timer. What flowers required little care as I was employed full-time. The consensus was to get a pothose. Epipremnum aureum, the scientific name, even gave me hope as it looked to say a premium aura. Anyone can keep a pothose alive, they said. My excitement and my hope grew. I found one at the local market. Its smooth, shiny, heart-shaped leaves seemed to say, "Hi. Take me home, I'll be green and pretty forever." I took it home, spoke lovingly to it every day, watered it precisely as instructed. 3 months later it was a shriveled, stringy, dry vine in a pretty box. I cried. For years after that tragic plant murder, I decorated my home with plastic flowers in vases, silk trees in baskets, even wax fruits and vegetables in large bowls, anything to have the semblance of Mother Nature's bounty near me, all without having to relive the heartbreak of killing another living thing. Maybe someday I can try again, became my mantra, gradually building hope and confidence inside myself. We bought a piece of property in Napa County, California. The bread basket, okay, the wine barrel of America. Everything grows in Napa. There are hundreds of vineyards, with thousands of acres of sweet, juicy grapes of all colors and sizes. At the end of each row of grapes are companion flowers, fragrant roses, and climbing azaleas. Between the harvests, there is a tall, grassy, bright yellow mustard plant that smells divine. This area is Mother Nature at her most beautiful, her most diverse. It is gardening at its glory. Weekly farmers' markets showcase the array of vegetables grown here. Even weeds such as star thistle are magically turned into thick, rich honey. Nearby orchards display their many species of fruits and nuts. I know I am nuts, crazy to want to try my hand at growing things again, but I have an acre of California's richest dirt. What could possibly go wrong? I would never forgive myself if I didn't at least try. I mean, even the black market folks have a flourishing weed business here. The gal at the local nursery says she will help me get set up. Is she foreshadowing? Haha, stop now, be confident. She talks me into the easy plants. Kale, cabbage, green onions by seed. Strawberries and tomatoes are already 6 inches tall. Yahoo, they are already bigger than my poor little bean ever got to be. I've got this. I put the dirt from my yard into canvas pots with a thin layer of chicken wire below them so the gophers don't eat the roots. I have brightly colored ribbons hanging from the stakes identifying the plant to be, and the birds should be frightened by it. I even moved my trash cans from the budding backyard farm to the front driveway so the local possums, skunks, and raccoons are not tempted to sneak.